Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookishrealm. Welcome back to another video. So it's actually been a hot minute since I've done a reaction video, so I thought it would be fun if I sat down and did another reaction video. So what we have here today is Buzzfeed recently put out an article talking about 25 unpopular book opinions that have generated a lot of conversation. I believe that they found a lot of these unpopular book opinions via Reddit, and so I just wanted to go through and react and see whether they were truly unpopular book opinions or whether I agreed with the opinions or disagreed with them. So we're not going to take too much time. We're just going to go ahead and jump into the video and see what Buzzfeed has to say. Buzzfeed always has some pretty interesting videos, or not videos. My brain is all types of twisted. Okay, so let's look at this. This came out in March, and it's 25 unpopular book opinions that are as interesting as they are controversial. So let's see if these are really controversial. I have not looked through these. I literally, as what I do with like all of my reactions, I just look for the articles, and then what I do is I'll go through and I will just choose one and then not go through it at all. That probably didn't even make any sense whatsoever. Either way, I do not look at the articles before I react to it. So this is my first time going through them. So this is a Reddit user recently asked the devoted readers of r/books, what is your most controversial book opinion? Thousands of comments later, it's clear that there are plenty of debates brewing among book enthusiasts. Okay, so we're going to Scooby-Doo. Alright, let's go through the first one. The movie can be better than the book. I actually agree with this one. I totally agree with this one. My perfect example of this one, but it's very rare for me, I will say that. I love the Hunger Game movies, but I dislike the book strongly. So, and I know that that can be a controversial opinion. I also did not know that Legally Blonde was a book. I did not know that. That is very, very interesting. The Devil Wears Prada is a snooze of a read. I think the setting and the concept is so much better suited to a visual storytelling form. Not surprised. I think I once had a copy of The Devil Wears Prada and I got rid of it. Okay, let's keep going here. Number 2, The Da Vinci Code was a great book. No, the writing wasn't good, but I've never read a book before or since that so expertly laid out a mystery. You learn answers at the same rate you encounter new questions. Every book has flaws, but few reach the heights this one did. Admittedly, I have never read Dan Brown, but I don't know if I would take it as far as to say that, like, the Da Vinci Code expertly lays out a mystery. I just don't see that being a thing. Have any of y'all read Dan Brown? If you have, let me know. If it's really that good of a book? I'm not. Yeah. Us men should read more romance novels. Very true. I don't think that that's controversial. That's not a controversial opinion or an unpopular opinion. I think that a lot of people actually feel that way. They're very different from what's typically expected on the shelves, especially here in the States. They're just a stupid-ass stigma amongst ourselves. I'm a large bearded fellow who works with grain, and damn it, I enjoy the warm fuzzies of a cute romance novel. People can fight me if they think it's weird. I don't think that's an unpopular book opinion at all. I think that there is a lot of conversation that revolves around men reading romance, and that they should feel more comfortable being able to openly read romance. That one's interesting. I don't think that's an unpopular book opinion whatsoever. 4, physical books are superior to reading digitally. I also don't think that this is an unpopular book opinion. I think that whatever format is most accessible for you is a format in which you should be able to consume books. I think that conversations nowadays, maybe a few years ago, this would have been more of an unpopular opinion, but I think now, because of the way time has changed and the way we talk about accessibility now, I don't think that reading physical books, or stating that physical books aren't superior to reading digitally, is that big of a thing, because I know for a lot of people reading digitally helps in terms of visual disabilities, and so being able to like adjust that text and being able to maybe change like backlight and change the color of the page really helps individuals. And so I don't think that that's an unpopular opinion either. Like, that's my controversial opinion is an adaptation of a book doesn't have to be exactly the same. Now that may be unpopular. That's unpopular to me. I don't think they have to be exactly the same, like verbatim, because it's kind of hard to take everything of a book and transform it to an hour and a half, 2-hour film. And for me, it's not about mediums. I just feel like there are individuals who adapt movies or adapt books, and they completely lose the essence of the story because they change too much stuff around. So that, you know, that's just my personal opinion about that one. I can't. Okay, so they use the example of 11/22/63, which apparently changed. I've never read the book or watched the TV show, so I don't know much about that one. Harry Potter doesn't need more stories or spin-offs. I don't need to know what Hufflepuffs do in their spare time. I agree. I think we should just kind of do away with excessive HP stuff at this point, like for many reasons, which I'm sure we all know about. I definitely agree. We can stop. We can definitely stop. 7, I hate when books bring real world shit like coronavirus, Trump, etc. into the plot. That is an unpopular opinion. I think that maybe for me it's an unpopular opinion because I think that this is a statement that closely aligns with I use reading as an escape and I don't want to read about real world stuff. And so I understand that statement, and then I disagree with that statement at the same time. And the reason why I say that is because, like, I understand that sometimes the real world can be too much, and so you don't want it to be brought into your books all the time. But I also feel like if you live a certain life, it's easy to just say, I want to avoid this. And so there's a certain level of privilege that is kind of interwoven for me personally into that statement. And I mean, I get it because I have moments where I want to escape the world, but I also know that I have the privilege to escape, whereas others may not. And I also think that real world stuff in books is a way to learn about someone else's lived experience. So I kind of go back and forth about that one quite a bit. Not BuzzFeed trying to get me to sign up for their newsletter. Absolutely not. Okay, number 8, books based on TV shows like Supernatural, Star Trek, The Next Generation, Monk, and more that are half the size of a standard paperback and read like an episode of the show are completely worth relaxing with and are the best kind of vacation, airplane, beach, and poolside reads. Okay, I can get that. I don't think that's an unpopular. I think that that's one of those easy consumable reads. Like, it's what popcorn books is what Izzy calls them. They're easy to consume. You just, you know, you eat them up and you're not really looking for exactly a whole bunch of substance or learning a whole bunch of things. You just want something that's easy to throw back. So I understand that. I don't think that's necessarily an unpopular opinion, to be honest with you. I think that that's valid. I love The Catcher in the Rye. I'm not gonna even read the rest of this. Horrible book. Horrible. I hated The Catcher in the Rye. I hated The Catcher in the Rye. I don't know many people who like The Catcher in the Rye. I don't even want to read the rest of the statement about what it did for them, because there's nothing that The Catcher in the Rye could do. 10, I hate when the book cover is changed to match the film or show based on. I like imagining the characters not having the actor you choose invade my idea of the book. I agree. This may be unpopular, but I agree. I hate movie covers on books. I loathe it. And rarely ever do I feel like people are able to capture a character fully, and actors and actresses, and it just is a thing. It's a thing. And so I don't like, here goes an unpopular opinion. I feel like the movie covers on books makes the book feel cheap. That's just me. It probably makes no sense. Trying to read as many books as possible in a month, a year, purely to hit a number entirely misses the point of reading. This is somebody who clearly is probably a part of our community. I think that, I don't know anyone who actively tries to reach a certain number every single month. I think that this isn't an unpopular opinion. I think this would be an unpopular opinion in our community, because this kind of feels very close to, oh, people who read a lot during the month are just reading to say that they've read a lot. And there are some people who just naturally read a lot. And so this one can get kind of dicey. Like, all right, number 12, my undying love for the inherent cycle. Sure, it hits the same plot beats as Star Wars. Okay, so this is a person who enjoys the inheritance cycle. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I'm also not an avid fantasy reader, and if you didn't know, the inheritance cycle starts with Aragon. It's by Christopher Paolini. Is that his last name, y'all? Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I don't really have an interest in reading it. I have a coworker who was trying to read it, and she's like, it's kind of a drag. And so this is like, I can't understand why the inheritance cycle isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely mine, which is fair. I mean, I think we all have books that we love that other people don't love, and so that's not really, I don't know if I would say that's an unpopular opinion. Sometimes the books aren't good, but the characters and concepts are. That's my unpopular opinion. That's a good point, though. Sometimes books are not really well-written books, but the concepts and the characters are intriguing, but it's not genuinely not a good book. I think this one goes back to like the popcorn effect. That's an interesting one. I may have to borrow that. Like, that is true. Like, sometimes books just genuinely aren't good, but the characters and the idea behind the book is what keeps you going. That may be unpopular, but that's such a good point. 14, The Hobbit is a better book than any other trilogy. That's not unpopular. I don't feel like that's unpopular. I feel like most Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fans couldn't stand that trilogy. From what I have heard, I don't think readers of the books were fans of The Hobbit, so I don't think that one's an unpopular. This one may be a little unpopular. I really like The Fault in Our Stars. It made me feel nostalgic for that time in a teenager's life where they go from wanting to be like everyone to wanting to be different, and it captures the transition from their perception quite well. I get that the characters can come off as pretentious, but teenagers are at that point, so I give it a pass. That probably would be an unpopular opinion. I think that a lot of people did enjoy The Fault in Our Stars when it initially came out, but I think the more that people began to read John Green's works and more of his characters, his teenagers always read older, and they are quite pretentious. They do not speak like your average teenager. So I think some people take issue with that, and then I think that, people just have outgrown The Fault in Our Stars. It had its time. I don't know anybody that is, super fans, and I could be wrong about this. I don't know anybody that's super fan of it anymore. But I enjoyed both the book and the movie when they first came out. I don't know if I would feel the same. This was years ago. I don't know if I would feel the same if I read it and watched the movie now, which could be an interesting video concept or idea. You never know. Go back and read and watch stuff that you used to love. Offering incentive to kids to read is a fantastic idea that should be brought back. When I was in elementary school, we had a system, accelerated reading. I don't like accelerated reading. I have a lot of thoughts about accelerated reading. I do think that incentivizing reading can be beneficial, but I also think that by the time you have to start incentivizing reading, you've lost kids have already been lost in how they perceive reading and their level of enjoyment of reading. That's my problem with stuff like AR, is that the love of reading should be instilled. This is my opinion. You can disagree. I think that the love of reading should be instilled in kids when they're younger, and access to books that they would find enjoying and entertaining should be there and accessible from a young age, and they shouldn't be forced to read books like Les Mis. Like, to me, that's just But I think it's deeper than just incentivizing reading. And so I don't think this is an unpopular opinion, but I think it's a surface level opinion that it doesn't fix the the reluctance to read, it puts a band-aid over a leak. It's a temporary fix. It doesn't really address things that need to be addressed. And I'm not saying that reading shouldn't be incentivized, because I like things like summer reading programs and stuff like that, which is an incentive to read. But I think that literacy should be promoted and really, really looked at and analyzed beyond incentivizing it. That's just, you know, that's the librarian in me though. So utopian fiction is more interesting than dystopian fiction. I disagree. This may not be an unpopular opinion. I just disagree with it. I think dystopian fiction is wild, because it's wild. I feel like dystopian fiction, probably for me personally, is more intriguing, because I'm like, dang, you know, this could really happen. Whereas utopian fiction, I'm like, yeah, this is never going to happen. Like, we're never all going to be on the same page. Kumbaya, like, everybody sharing everything equally, and society is perfect. Like, we would never chat. Dystopian though, oh yeah, I could definitely see this happening in real life. All right, 18. I've seen a lot of people say they only read books once, and in their words, why would they reread a book when they could read a new one? I think rereading books is crucial to a deep understanding of the work. Read the book once for the plot, read it again for the theme, read a third time for patterns and details you didn't catch, read a fourth time because it's a good book. Always reread books if you like them the first time. I guarantee you will get something new from it. Rereading serves just as meaningful a purpose as reading a book for the first time. Books don't exist purely to inform you of events in a story. Yes! This may be unpopular, because I know people who say, I don't reread books, and I'm like, how do you not reread? I can understand not rereading a book that you did not enjoy. You were kind of like, man, it was kind of middle of the road for me. But books that you enjoy, I don't know how people don't reread. Like, it's something that I just won't ever understand. I love rereading. I reread a lot. Calvin and Hobbes is better than 90% of the books I've read. Okay, absolutely not. Very unpopular opinion. Not saying that Calvin and Hobbes doesn't have its merit, but no. Alright, number 20. The world of I'm a book reading person who reads books, merchandise, memes, etc. is cringe. What? What? Let me make sure I'm understanding this right. The world of I'm a book reading person who reads books, merchandise, memes, etc. is cringe. So basically what they're saying is like my coffee mug that says like I buy books, what is it? Like, I buy books, I read books, I review books, like my whole world basically is about books. It's cringe? I don't think that's cringe. It's like any other hobby. That's unpopular and I disagree. Overall, Agatha Christie is a better author than Arthur Conan Doyle, but Sherlock Holmes is a better character than Poirot. I don't know. I don't read either. I haven't read either extensively. I feel like both have had problematic elements in their books. But you know, I feel like Mara from Books Like Woe would be a better determiner. Is that even a word? It's probably not. Mara would be better at determining how true the statement is. I really don't know. I just realized too, like, I don't read as many mysteries as I thought I do. I read, you know, I'm picking up on my thriller reading, but I don't read as many mysteries. And so I could not give an opinion about that, believe it or not. Just because you have criticisms about a book, it doesn't mean that you don't like it or think the whole thing is shit. Just because I found a plot hole in a book and pointed out doesn't mean I'm hating on a book. Yes. It just means I found a plot hole in the book. Far too many people think that enjoyment or quality is binary. You loved it or you hated it. It's perfect or it's terrible. No. Yes! That's what reviewing is for. My goodness gracious. You give one criticism to a book and sometimes people just fall apart. I can't believe that you hate, and it's like, I don't hate the book. There's flaws with it, as with everything. And so I don't think that's unpopular. I feel like that's one that needs to be talked about a little bit more. Hardcover books are just not as good as paperback. This probably is an unpopular opinion, and I think it would be an unpopular opinion in our community. I think that paperbacks are easier to read. Now, if you're talking about mass market paperbacks, that's also a different story. Hardcovers, I have to take the dust jacket off when I read it because the dust jacket just gets in the way. but I also feel like paperbacks are just easier to handle. But I think for collectors, hardcovers are usually the way to go, if I'm not mistaken. All right, number 24. Reading while walking is one of the great pleasures in life. And it's a superior way to read. Find a nice flat park with wide lanes and no open manholes. That's just dumb. So you're talking about like reading a book and walking at the same time? That's weird. That's weird. This one is unpopular. And finally, I like all the whaling details in Moby Dick. I don't know a single human that enjoys the whaling details in Moby Dick. I feel like that is everyone's grievance about Moby Dick, is the whaling details. So that probably is a pretty unpopular opinion. All right, y'all. So that is it. Those are the unpopular opinions or unpopular and controversial book opinions according to Buzzfeed. Let me know in the comments below like which ones you thought were truly unpopular or controversial, and let me know also like what are your unpopular book opinions. I don't know if I really had any unpopular book opinions, to be honest with you, except the fact that I do heavily like the movie can be better than the book. Like I know that in reading communities that can be pretty controversial, but it's true. I think sometimes the movie adaptations can be better. But yes, as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and I will be back with another video soon.